Look, I need you to understand something right off the bat. I was 13, which is basically the worst possible age to be alive. You're too old to be cute and too young to have any actual social skills. Your body's doing weird things. Your voice cracks at the worst moments, and for some godforsaken reason, I thought signing up for the 7th grade talent show would be a good idea. I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, that's a lie. I know exactly what I was thinking. There was this girl, Emma Martinez, and she was gonna be there, and I'd convinced myself that if I got up on stage and sang something cool, she'd somehow fall madly in love with me. Middle school logic, you know? So I picked Wonderwall by Oasis. And before you say anything, yes, I'm aware that's the most cliché song choice in human history. But in my defense, I'd heard my older brother play it on guitar like twice, and it seemed easy enough. The problem was that I'd never actually sung it out loud. Not once. I just kind of assumed it would work out. The day of the show, I walked out onto that stage in the cafeteria/auditorium, and immediately every single person I'd ever met was staring at me. The lights were way brighter than I expected. I could see my mom in the 3rd row with her phone already out, recording what would become the worst video in our family's digital archive. I grabbed the microphone. The backing track started, and I opened my mouth. Nothing came out right, like literally nothing. The key was way too high. My voice cracked on save. I forgot the second verse entirely and just started humming while nodding like I was making an artistic choice. Someone in the back actually yelled, "What's happening?" Then, and I swear to God this is true, the microphone started feeding back. That horrible screeching sound that makes everyone in the room physically recoil. Except I didn't stop. I kept trying to sing over it, which somehow made it worse until Mr. Patterson finally ran up and yanked the cord out of the speaker. The silence that followed was deafening. I didn't even bow. I just walked off stage, went directly to the bathroom, and locked myself in a stall for 45 minutes. Emma Martinez started dating Jake Hernandez 2 weeks later. They're married now, probably. You'd think after the talent show incident I would have learned to keep a low profile. You'd be wrong. 3 months later, I'm in PE class, which is already bad enough because I was built like an uncooked spaghetti noodle and had the athletic ability of a concussed hamster. But this particular day, we were doing the presidential fitness test, which meant everyone had to change into gym clothes. The locker room at Jefferson Middle School was this nightmare maze of gray metal lockers that all looked identical. I'd been using locker 247 all semester, had it memorized. Except on this day, this one specific day, I got distracted because Tyler Chen was talking about some movie I wanted to see, and I wasn't paying attention when I spun the combination lock. I opened what I thought was my locker. It was not my locker. Everything inside immediately cascaded onto the floor. Someone's history textbook, a lunch bag with what I can only assume was 3-week-old tuna, loose papers scattered everywhere, and, this is the part that still makes me physically cringe, a Victoria's Secret catalog fell out and landed face up, open to a page I will not describe in detail. Right as I'm standing there, frozen, trying to figure out how to shove everything back in, Coach Williams walks around the corner. "Reynolds, what the hell are you doing?" I couldn't even form words. I just pointed at the locker like that would somehow explain everything. Behind me, I heard Tyler start laughing. Then Marcus. Then basically everyone. Turns out it was Jessica Thornton's locker. She was not amused when she found out I'd accidentally broken into it. The nickname Creeper followed me for the rest of 7th grade, and no matter how many times I tried to explain that it was an honest mistake, no one cared. The worst part? I still had to do the presidential fitness test immediately after. Try doing pull-ups when everyone's calling you Creeper. Spoiler alert, I did 0 pull-ups. By 8th grade, I'd developed what I thought was a foolproof strategy. Blend in. Don't draw attention. Eat lunch with the other invisible kids. Survive. But then Aiden Lopez, who I'd been friends with since 4th grade, invited me to sit at his table. The table. the one by the windows where the soccer players and the theater kids somehow coexisted in perfect social harmony. I'd been trying to get invited there for literally years, so obviously I said yes. The cafeteria at Jefferson was set up like an obstacle course. You had to navigate through this narrow path between the lunch line and the tables, and everyone's backpacks were always on the floor because there was nowhere else to put them. I'd made this walk 1,000 times, but never while carrying a full tray and trying to look casual. I was 3 steps away from the table when my foot caught on someone's JanSport. You know how in movies falls happen in slow motion? That's actually real. I had enough time to think, oh no, realize there was nothing I could do about it. Consider just dropping the tray and running away, and then watch as my entire lunch achieved liftoff. The pizza hit Aiden directly in the chest. The chocolate milk exploded across 3 different people. The tater tots scattered like shrapnel. And my apple, I'll never understand the physics of this, somehow rolled under the next table and tripped Ms. Henderson, the English teacher, who was walking by with her own lunch. I just lay there on the floor for a second, covered in ranch dressing that I don't even remember putting on my tray, while the entire cafeteria went silent and then erupted into laughter. Emma Martinez was at that table. She was wearing a white shirt. It was no longer white. I didn't realize this until I plugged it in, and the screen behind me lit up with Why I Want to Attend Cornell, an essay by Marcus Reynolds. For a solid 10 seconds, I just stood there while my brain tried to process what was happening. Someone behind me whispered, "Is this part of the presentation?" It was not part of the presentation. I tried to explain, tried to say I'd grabbed the wrong drive. But Mr. Davidson just shook his head and told me to sit down, that I'd get a 0 unless I presented tomorrow. So I winged it. Just started talking about Stalingrad from memory. And it was going okay, not great, but okay, until someone asked me about casualty numbers, and I accidentally said, like a bajillion people died, which is not historically accurate and also made me sound like I was 5 years old. The class laughed. Mr. Davidson did not laugh. I got a C- on that presentation, which honestly felt generous. Looking back now, I realized that middle school was just a series of increasingly humiliating disasters held together by questionable hygiene and too much Axe body spray. These moments felt world-ending at the time, like I'd never recover, like everyone would remember forever. And you know what? They probably do remember. Emma Martinez probably tells the story of the guy who dumped chocolate milk on her at parties. Jessica Thornton probably still thinks I'm a creep. Mr. Davidson probably uses my presentation as an example of what not to do. But here's what I've learned. Surviving profound embarrassment builds character, or at least gives you good stories to tell at dinner parties when you're trying to make people feel better about their own awkward teenage years. I'm 24 now. I can sing Wonderwall pretty okay. I always double-check locker numbers. I eat lunch at actual tables. And I know exactly which flash drive has what on it. Does the cringe ever fully go away? Absolutely not. Sometimes I'll be trying to fall asleep and my brain will just replay the sound of that cafeteria going silent, or the look on Coach Williams's face, or the moment I said a bajillion people. But at least I can laugh about it now. Mostly.